Welcome, traveler of the stars. You've arrived at the infinite scientist, where science dreams in the language of the cosmos. Tonight, we drift beyond every telescope's gaze, past the maps of galaxies and time, into the unknown edge of the universe. If you find beauty in the mysteries of existence, let your curiosity rest here. Subscribe and dream with us beneath the stars. Imagine standing at the farthest boundary of creation, the place where light itself grows tired. Before you, a sea of blackness stretches into eternity. No sound, no color, only the quiet hum of space expanding into something it can never touch. This is not a wall, not a barrier, but a horizon, a place so far away that even the speed of light can't send us postcards from there. And yet we know it exists because the universe, like a patient storyteller, leaves traces of its breath in every direction. Scientists call it the cosmic horizon, the edge of what we can ever see or know. Beyond it, the universe may continue forever, folding upon itself like an endless dream. Or perhaps it stops, suddenly and silently at the boundary of time. But what if this horizon isn't just something we look at? What if it's looking back? Every night when we gaze into the sky, we're peering into the past. The light of distant galaxies takes billions of years to reach us. Fragile messages written in photons, traveling through expanding space. When that light finally arrives, it tells a story already over. Stars long dead, galaxies already changed. Worlds that may have bloomed and vanished before the Earth was born. We see ghosts of what once was and see that the universe's reflection in its own mirror. But beyond that reflection lies something more mysterious, a region forever hidden from our eyes, a part of the cosmos that will never send light our way, no matter how long we wait. It's not because there's nothing there, but because the space between us stretches faster than light can travel. It's as if the universe is pulling its curtains closed, one galaxy at a time. The edge isn't still, and it's moving. And one day, even the galaxies we see today will fade into darkness, leaving only the silent memory of their glow. Scientists describe this expansion through the cosmological constant, the quiet pressure of dark energy pushing everything apart. Dark energy doesn't roar, it whispers. It's everywhere, filling the emptiness between galaxies with invisible persistence. It's the heartbeat of separation, calm, endless, unstoppable. And because of it, the cosmic horizon grows farther away each moment. Every second we exist, more of the universe slips beyond our reach. But here's the beautiful paradox. While we stare into the darkness, wondering what lies beyond, that same darkness stares back, through time, through light, through the fragile geometry of existence. The universe is not empty. Every particle of your body was born in the heart of a star that once shone somewhere beyond that horizon. You are stardust shaped by the invisible laws that govern the cosmos, the curvature of space, the rhythm of time, the music of gravity. And as you breathe, the atoms within you hum with the same frequencies that pulse through galaxies. You are in every way part of the horizon watching back. There's something strangely intimate about the cosmic edge. It's both terrifying and tender, like the pause between heartbeats. Beyond it may lie other universes and endless bubbles in a vast cosmic foam, each with its own laws, its own version of reality. Maybe somewhere another you is looking at another sky, wondering the same thing. What happens beyond all of this? But even if we never reach that place, even if it forever hides behind the veil of light, the act of imagining it makes us infinite. Because curiosity, not distance, defines the edge of the universe. Think of this. The farther we look, the younger the universe becomes. Every photon carries a fragment of its childhood, when everything was pure light and chaos. At some point, we reach a horizon where time itself blurs, where the fabric of space expands faster than stories can travel. And maybe that's where the answers hide, not in the farthest galaxy, but in the quiet acknowledgement that some things were never meant to be seen. Perhaps the horizon is the universe's way of teaching us humility, to remind us that knowledge, like light, can only go so far before it dissolves into silence. It's a boundary not of walls, but of understanding, and beyond it, the great unknown continues to unfold, indifferent yet beautiful. So, when you close your eyes tonight and feel the faint pull of sleep, imagine drifting past the last star, past the thinning light, past the final breath of the visible universe. Out there, in that vast and sacred emptiness, everything slows, time stretches, and the horizon watches back. It doesn't judge. It doesn't end. It simply listens, because maybe beyond the edge of everything we know there isn't a border at all. Maybe there's just a continuation, its reflection, a loop, a cosmic inhale before creation begins again. And perhaps, in that silent rhythm, we'll find not the end of the universe, but its heartbeat. Imagine a place so far from the light of any galaxy that even the word dark feels too bright, a region where space itself seems to exhale, where gravity loosens its grip and the fabric of the cosmos stretches like thin silk disappearing into shadow. Here, at the edges of what can be known, the universe begins to forget itself. It forgets its shape, its sound, its pulse. It forgets the stories we tell about it. In this endless nowhere, names lose their meaning. Galaxies no longer spiral. They drift apart like memory fragments fading in a dream. Time becomes soft, elastic, barely recognizable. And yet, even here, the faint whisper of creation lingers. The residue of something that once was everything. To understand this region is to realize that the universe is not one vast, stable thing, but a living process. It grows, breathes, ages, and forgets, just as we do. When cosmologists talk about the edge, they often speak in maps and equations, but what they're really describing is a story of fading identity. Because out there, beyond where light can reach, the universe is still expanding, but it's also dissolving into something nameless. Imagine standing on a shoreline at dusk. You watch the tide retreat, pulling away from your feet into the vast sea. That's what the cosmos is doing, the tide of galaxies receding across unimaginable distances. Every moment, millions of suns slip over that invisible horizon, leaving behind only faint radiation, like footprints slowly being washed away. It's a cosmic forgetting, gentle and unstoppable. Long ago, before stars were born, before atoms could hold together, the universe was pure potential, a blur of energy and chaos. In that ancient instant, it didn't yet know what it was. There were no galaxies, no clusters, no sense of direction. It was a universe without a name, waiting for structure to define it. And maybe at the end of all things, it returns to that state again. Pure, nameless being, the beginning and the end, folding quietly into one another. In the observable universe, every particle, every photon, plays a part in memory. Matter remembers where it's been. Radiation carries the echo of when it was born. But beyond the cosmic horizon, memory breaks down. Light cannot travel back, signals cannot cross, and the universe is, in a sense, loses its reflection. To us, it looks like emptiness, but to physics, it is simply unobservable truth, the half of existence that remains silent. This is where human understanding falters, because we are creatures of names, of meaning. We need to label things to make sense of them: star, planet, time, God. But the universe is under no such obligation. Beyond a certain distance, language fails. The only truth left is experience. The feeling of existing in a reality that no longer speaks our words back to us. Yet, in that loss of language, there's beauty. Because the more the universe forgets itself, the more it resembles the stillness we find inside our own minds. When thoughts quiet and names fade, what remains? a pure awareness, the feeling of simply being. The far edge of the universe is that kind of awareness made physical, silent, infinite, and unburdened by identity. In 1998, astronomers discovered that the universe wasn't just expanding, it was accelerating. The galaxies weren't merely drifting apart, they were being pushed by something unseen. They called it dark energy, a mysterious force making up nearly 70% of everything. But dark doesn't mean evil. It means unlit, unmeasured, untold. It's the universe's quiet hand, guiding everything outward. And if this acceleration continues forever, there will come a time when every galaxy slips so far away that even their light can't reach us. When that day arrives, the night sky will grow empty. Our Milky Way will float alone in a vast black sea, a cosmic island without maps or neighbors. Future astronomers, if any remain, might look up and see only a dark void. They would have no way to know there were once trillions of other galaxies. To them, the universe would seem small, quiet, and old. The grand story of creation would be forgotten, erased not by destruction, but by distance. And maybe that's how every story ends. Not with noise, but with silence. It's humbling to think that one day, even the universe's memory will fade. Every atom that forms your body, every photon that has ever kissed your skin, was once part of that grand unfolding. And though it may be forgotten in the far reaches of cosmic time, it will have existed. Every thought you've had, every breath you've taken, a momentary shimmer in the cosmic sea. We too will dissolve into that forgetting, our names scattered like stardust. But that isn't tragedy. It's release. Because the act of forgetting is not the end of being. It's transformation. Just as clouds dissolve into rain, and rain becomes the sea again, so too does the universe dissolve into the next phase of itself. What looks like absence may simply be preparation for another beginning. Another cycle waiting to awaken. Beyond the edge, there might be new physics, new dimensions, new laws of existence, where our current understanding cannot follow. But even without knowing, we can feel it, the pulse, the rhythm, the breath of something eternal. Perhaps the universe doesn't truly forget its name. Perhaps it whispers it differently each time, in particles, in light, in dreams. And perhaps, in the quiet expansion of everything, we can hear the faintest echo of that name, not spoken but felt, deep in the structure of time itself. As we drift through this infinite forgetting, we realize that identity, memory, even consciousness might all be temporary arrangements of cosmic energy, shapes that emerge and fade within a greater whole. We are waves, not oceans, flickers, not fires. But the beauty lies in the flicker, in knowing that even brief moments of awareness illuminate the darkness. So if the universe truly forgets itself one day, maybe it's because it must. Because to know itself again, it must let go of everything it was. And in that endless cycle of remembering and forgetting, of expansion and return, existence continues, calm, vast, and eternal. The universe may one day forget its name, but you, standing here within it, are part of the reason it ever had one. In the quiet reaches of the night sky, there are stars whose light still travels toward us, even though they have long since died. That light, older than civilizations, older than the memory of life itself, continues to cross the ocean of time, carrying whispers from a past that no longer exists. When you look up at the sky tonight, you are not seeing the present. You are peering into the unbroken diary of the universe, written in beams of ancient light. Every photon, every gleam, is a messenger. Some of those messengers began their journey before the Earth had cooled enough to bear oceans. Some were born before the sun ever lit its first fire. And yet, here they are, striking the lens of your eye, entering your mind, allowing you to witness ghosts that shine. We live inside a universe of delays. What we see is never what is. The stars that seem so vibrant may have vanished eons ago, their deaths silent and unseen. Their light, however, refuses to surrender. It keeps moving forward, unhurried, unwavering, like a letter addressed to a future that might still care to read it. Light is memory. Every beam is a time capsule holding the imprint of where it came from. When it reaches us, we are touched by something impossibly distant, a fragment of a story that began before we existed. Imagine standing in a vast, dark cathedral where the candles are all dying one by one, but their warmth still lingers on the walls. That's what the night sky truly is, a cathedral of fading fires. It's easy to think of the universe as a place of emptiness. Stars scattered like cold diamonds across a black velvet sea. But in truth, it is filled with motion and patience. A photon emitted by a dying star in Andromeda takes 2.5 million years to arrive here. When it does, it finds us, tiny, fragile creatures looking back with wonder. It doesn't know who we are. It doesn't know we evolved eyes, language, or thought. It just completes its mission, fulfilling a promise it made before we were born. Astronomers, in their quiet devotion, have learned to read these messages from light. By studying its color, its wavelength, its trembling shifts, they can tell a story of distance, of movement, of cosmic history. When light stretches into red, it tells us the universe is expanding. When it dims and scatters, it tells us of dust and decay. Every shift, every flicker, is a syllable in the language of the stars. But there's something more profound than the data, something deeply human in this act of looking backward through time. Every stargazer is also a historian, every telescope a time machine. When we point our instruments at distant galaxies, we aren't just observing them, we are meeting their ancestors. The Milky Way too has its ancient echoes. Somewhere out there, another civilization may be staring toward us, seeing the Milky Way as it was long before our sun existed, wondering if anyone lives among those faint points of light. In this way, the universe is a mirror, but not one that shows who we are now. It shows who we were and who everything once was. Even the faintest glimmer from a forgotten nebula carries with it the story of atoms that once belonged to something magnificent. Those atoms will one day belong to something else. Nothing in the cosmos ever truly disappears. It only changes form, wandering endlessly through light and shadow. Perhaps that's why humans have always found comfort in starlight. It reminds us that existence is not a single moment, but a continuous unfolding, a slow echo of creation repeating itself in infinite forms. The light that falls on your skin tonight may have witnessed the birth of worlds, the collapse of suns, the rise and fall of galaxies. It traveled billions of years just to meet you in this breath, in this heartbeat, in this fragile instant of awareness. And maybe, in some future eon long after our species is gone, someone else will stand beneath a different sky, on another world, orbiting another star, and see the faint glimmer of our own sun. They will see us not as we are, but as we were when life still stirred on a small blue planet. They will see Earth's light and know that once the universe dreamed here too. It's a haunting thought that what we leave behind might not be words or monuments, but light. The gentle radiation of our technology, the faint pulse of our cities, the broadcast waves of our stories, all escaping into space, carrying our existence outward, second by second. Perhaps someday, some distant eye will catch the flicker of our past and listen to our long, silent transmissions. Perhaps they will hear laughter, or music, or a voice saying, "We were here." The stars above are reminders that time does not erase. It only delays. The light that left before we were born will continue its journey long after we're gone. It does not hurry. It does not fade in purpose. It just travels endlessly, bearing witness to the poetry of persistence. So when you gaze upward, remember you are not looking into space. You are looking into memory, into the oldest story ever told. One still unfolding in every direction, in every heartbeat, in every spark of light that dares to cross the darkness. And as that ancient light brushes your eyes, you too become part of its story. The latest chapter in an infinite tale that began long before there were names, and will continue long after there are none. There is a river that no eye can see, yet it touches everything. It flows not through valleys or oceans, but through moments, carrying every heartbeat, every star, every memory. It is the river of time. Unlike the rivers of earth, it moves only one way, forward, relentless and quiet. But sometimes in the stillness of thought we wonder, could it ever flow backward? If time were water, it would have carved the canyons of existence itself. It shapes galaxies, guides evolution, and writes the stories of worlds. Every second is a droplet in its current, and we, fragile and wandering, drift within it. Yet no matter how fast or slow we try to move, the current always carries us onward. We are passengers in a cosmic tide that never looks back. Physicists call it the arrow of time, the one-way direction that defines our experience of reality. You cannot unbake bread, unburn a star, or return a fallen leaf to its branch. Entropy, the great organizer of disorder, ensures that everything moves from order to chaos, from structure to stillness. It is the reason memories can only exist behind us and never ahead. In every moment, the universe unfolds a little more, expanding into complexity, then dissolving again into simplicity. But what if this river could bend? What if, somewhere beyond the laws we know, time could reverse its flow, causing galaxies to collapse into points, lives to unlive, and stars to inhale their light? Would we remember backward? Would we age toward youth? The thought feels impossible, yet strangely poetic, because somewhere deep inside us there is a quiet ache to return, to revisit the moments we've lost, the days that drifted too quickly downstream. In truth, time is not just a line, it is a fabric, rippling and bending under the weight of matter and energy. Einstein saw this clearly. Gravity is not a pull but a curve in space-time. Where mass exists, time slows. Around black holes, it almost stops. Near light speed, it stretches like honey. The faster you move, the slower your clock ticks. The deeper you fall into gravity's well, the longer each second becomes. In this way, the universe is a sculptor of time itself, bending, shaping, and twisting it like clay. There are stars near the edges of black holes where a single hour, from their perspective, would equal centuries to us. To them, the universe moves in slow motion. Light crawling, matter trembling, reality itself dragging its feet. For them, the river nearly stops. And for anything that crosses the event horizon, that invisible threshold where gravity's grip becomes eternal, time ceases altogether. The river ends, not because it is empty, but because it loops into stillness. Inside that silence, the laws we know dissolve. Perhaps the river doesn't always flow in one direction after all. Perhaps it circles back on itself like a great cosmic whirlpool. Some theories suggest that if the universe expands forever, time will continue outward endlessly. But if one day gravity overcomes that expansion, pulling everything back into a final collapse, then time may reverse. Stars will unignite. Galaxies will spiral inward. All light will fall back into the darkness that once birthed it. The river would return to its source, but this reversal, if it ever comes, would not be something we could witness. To the beings inside that collapsing universe, time would feel normal, always moving forward. Only from a greater vantage, one we can scarcely imagine, would it appear to flow backward. And so even if time itself turns around, we may never know. The river keeps its secrets well. Still, there are moments in human life when we feel the illusion of reversal, when time seems to pause, or loop, or slow. A smell, a sound, a glimpse of light through rain. Suddenly we are elsewhere, another decade, another self. Our minds, unlike the universe, can defy chronology. They can swim upstream. Memories are the small rebellions of consciousness against time's current. Proof that the past can still touch the present, that we can relive what no longer exists. Maybe that is why nostalgia feels both sweet and tragic. It's the sensation of rowing backward in a river that will never turn. We can look, we can reach, but we can never return. And yet, the reaching itself gives our existence meaning. The desire to revisit, to hold what has passed, is what makes us human. A flicker of defiance in a cosmos that only moves one way. There are places, though, where time truly behaves strangely, not metaphorically, but physically, near the edge of a black hole, or inside the event horizon, or within the tangled geometry of quantum entanglement, the usual flow of cause and effect can blur. In quantum mechanics, particles can influence each other instantaneously across vast distances, as if ignoring time altogether. Some experiments even hint that effects can precede causes, that the future might whisper back to the past. These are not myths, but measurable curiosities, glimpses into a reality where time might be less of a river and more of a sea, moving in currents and eddies unseen. And if time is a sea, then perhaps consciousness is the ship, able to ride its waves, to dream of what was and to imagine what might be. Our awareness gives direction to the drift. Without it, time would be nothing but motion without meaning. But because we are here to witness it, to feel it, to remember it, time becomes a story, a narrative written in the language of light and decay and hope. The river still flows. It carries us from birth to memory, from wonder to silence. And though we cannot swim against it, we can learn to listen to its rhythm, to find peace in the current instead of fear. Every heartbeat, every sigh, every sunset is a ripple in its surface, proof that we are part of something vast and continuous. So if there is a river that flows backward, perhaps it is not in the stars, but in the mind, in the way we can close our eyes and return to childhood, to a laugh, to a moment when the world still shimmered with first light. Perhaps memory is our private reversal of time, our human way of saying that not everything is lost to the current. And if time must carry us away, then may it carry us gently, like leaves upon the river, drifting toward the horizon where even endings glow softly, as though promising another beginning. In the farthest corners of the cosmos, where light has traveled for billions of years just to reach our eyes, ancient galaxies shimmer like forgotten thoughts. Their shapes are uneven, fragile, spirals torn apart, clusters colliding, newborn stars igniting in the dust of the dead. Each one is a memory, a record of the universe remembering itself. For though we see them as they were, not as they are, their light carries the story of creation, written across the dark canvas of time. When we gaze upward, we are not looking at the present, we are peering into the past. The Andromeda Galaxy, a glowing smear in the night sky, appears as it was 2.5 million years ago, when early humans still walked among shadows of the African plains. The farther we look, the older the memory becomes. To see the edge of the observable universe is to witness the afterglow of its birth, the first flicker of light ever to exist. It is not just astronomy, it is time travel by sight. In the beginning, galaxies were not elegant spirals or grand ellipticals. They were chaotic, turbulent, wild. Clouds of hydrogen collapsed under gravity's slow insistence, pulling tighter until heat and fusion began. The first stars burned blue and brief, exploding into supernovae that seeded the darkness with heavy elements. The carbon, oxygen and iron that would one day become planets, oceans and the blood in our veins. Every galaxy carries the trace of that violence. The metals in its stars are its scars, its history etched in light. Galaxies are not static. They evolve, grow, merge, and remember. When two galaxies collide, they do not shatter. They dance. Their stars, though countless, almost never crash. Instead, gravity draws them into vast arcs, spiraling tendrils that weave new constellations. Over hundreds of millions of years, their cores fuse, and a new form emerges. Older, larger, wiser. The Milky Way itself is such a survivor, built from the remnants of smaller galaxies devoured long ago. Even now, as we dream beneath its pale band, Andromeda approaches, destined to merge with us in 4 billion years. When that happens, the skies will blaze with motion. The night will be filled with rivers of stars, a cosmic memory forming in real time. Astronomers study these stories through light, the language of the universe. Each photon that reaches us carries information about the distance it traveled, the matter it touched, the expansion it endured. To decode that light is to read the diary of galaxies. Some of those photons have been traveling since before Earth existed, before even the atoms of our bodies were forged. When we catch them in a telescope, we are holding time itself, the echo of beginnings, still warm with the breath of creation. In the heart of every galaxy lies a secret, a supermassive black hole, millions or billions of times the mass of our sun. Around it, stars orbit like faithful attendants, and gas spirals inward in luminous fury. It is from these dark centers that galaxies find their balance. The black hole's gravity, paradoxically, gives structure to everything around it. It devours, but it also regulates, restrains, and breathes stability into chaos. Without them, galaxies might unravel entirely. From darkness, order arises. From the void, creation remembers its own origin. When we speak of galaxies remembering, it is more than metaphor. Their motions preserve the story of their births. The spin of a spiral galaxy tells us how its gas first cooled. The color of its stars reveals when it last gave birth to new suns. Even the way a galaxy drifts through the cosmic web reflects the ancient pull of neighboring clusters, invisible threads of gravity connecting all things. It is a vast cosmic memory network stretching across billions of light years, where each galaxy holds a chapter in the universe's autobiography. And yet, within all this grandeur, there is an intimacy, a quiet reminder that we, too, are made of this memory. The calcium in our bones, the iron in our blood, the gold in our jewelry, all were forged in the hearts of ancient stars that once lived and died inside those distant galaxies. We are the continuation of their story, living matter remembering the starlight that birthed it. In a sense, galaxies do not only remember their own creation, they remember us, because we are part of their ongoing thought. Imagine, then, the universe as a vast neural network, galaxies as nodes, cosmic filaments as connections, dark matter as the invisible architecture binding it all together. Through gravity and light, the cosmos thinks, remembers, and evolves. Every collision is a synapse firing. Every supernova is a spark of awareness. Over eons, the pattern deepens until what began as chaos becomes consciousness, spread thinly across time and space. In that view, every act of observation, every time a human eye looks upward, is the universe becoming self-aware. There is a haunting beauty in that idea, that the universe does not just exist, but dreams of itself through us. When we build telescopes and study galaxies, we are not outsiders looking in. We are the cosmos reflecting on its own origin. tracing its memories across the night. The light that enters our eyes tonight left its source billions of years ago, long before our planet took shape. It crossed the expanding dark, survived dust and gravity, just to be noticed, to complete a circuit between past and present. That simple act of seeing connects us to everything that has ever been. And what does it mean, truly, for a galaxy to remember? Perhaps it is not about conscious recollection, but persistence. To remember is to endure, to carry forward the marks of what has come before. Galaxies remember their birth through the stars they still cradle, through the elements they continue to forge, through the delicate arms that spiral in eternal motion. They remember because they remain. If we listen closely, we can almost hear them, not in sound but in light, whispering their histories across the vacuum. Every twinkle we see from Earth is an old story retold, a silent testimony that the universe never forgets. Even as stars die, their ashes build new suns, and those suns build new worlds. In every beginning lies the memory of an ending, and in every ending, a seed of renewal. When galaxies remember their birth, they are not looking backward, as we do. They are still becoming, still reshaping, still dreaming. They are the living memory of creation, expanding forever outward, writing the same story in infinite variations. The story of something born from nothing, of light emerging from darkness. And as that story continues, so do we, fragments of a vast cosmic remembrance suspended between past and possibility, gazing into the night and seeing ourselves reflected in the glow of a billion ancient suns. Before there was light, there was only silence. Not the kind that fills a quiet room, but a deeper, more absolute stillness. A silence so vast it had no listener, no echo, no memory. It was the pause before existence exhaled. In that endless void there was no space to stretch, no time to pass, no matter to move. Only potential, waiting, like the held breath of a sleeping universe. We imagine the birth of the cosmos as an explosion, a burst of brilliance shattering the dark. But the truth is gentler, more elegant. The universe did not explode. It expanded, slowly, invisibly, perfectly balanced between chaos and creation. From a single, incomprehensibly dense point, space itself began to unfold, not into something, but into being. The first thing that was born was not light, but silence, the soundless rhythm of space growing around itself. In those first moments, there was no light to see, no sound to hear. Temperatures soared higher than the heart of any star, yet there was nothing that could emit or reflect the heat. The newborn universe was an ocean of pure energy, opaque and restless, filled with particles colliding, forming and dissolving before they could even be named. It was a time before time, a world where existence had not yet learned to hold still. As the seconds stretched into minutes, that chaos began to cool. The particles that once darted wildly began to slow, to bind together, to find companionship in the dark. Protons met electrons and formed the first atoms. Simple, silent hydrogen, the building block of everything that would ever be. With that union came calm. The light that had been trapped in a sea of particles finally slipped free, illuminating the cosmos for the first time. That moment, about 380,000 years after the beginning, was the birth of light as we know it. It spread in all directions, unbound and unhindered, carrying with it the story of its own origin. Today, we call that relic, glow, the cosmic microwave background, the oldest light in existence, still humming softly across the night sky. Every time your eyes adjust to darkness, a few of those ancient photons pass through you. You are literally touched by the dawn of creation. But before that light came freedom, there was a waiting, an infinite patience written into the structure of reality. The silence before the first light was not emptiness, it was anticipation. Every proton, every quark, every flicker of quantum foam was part of a larger intention to become something. In that quiet, the laws of physics were born: gravity, electromagnetism, the strong and weak, nuclear forces, the silent architecture that would define everything thereafter. Imagine it, a void without up or down, where distance itself had no meaning, and then a soft unfolding. Not a flash, not a roar, but the beginning of motion, the faintest whisper of symmetry breaking, a single imbalance that allowed matter to exist at all. Without that imperfection, there would have been only energy forever, no atoms, no stars, no worlds. Creation, it seems, began not with perfection, but with a flaw. When the first light emerged, the universe became transparent. The fog lifted. What had been hidden in the dense plasma became visible for the first time. And what did the cosmos look like then? Not galaxies, not stars, but a smooth glow. Pale even, almost featureless. A baby universe, still finding its shape, still learning the art of complexity, the seeds of all future structure. The galaxies, clusters, and stars were already there, encoded as tiny ripples in that ancient light. Those ripples were the fingerprints of creation, faint imbalances that gravity would one day amplify into everything we now see. There's something profoundly human about that the universe began not with noise or perfection, but with stillness and imperfection. Our own beginnings echo the same truth. Before we speak, before we think, before we act, there is a silence within us, a moment of calm that exists before creation, before expression. Just as the universe needed its silent prelude, so do we. Every breath, every dream begins in quiet. Scientists call that early silence the cosmic dark ages, a poetic name for a time that held no stars. For hundreds of millions of years after the first light escaped, the universe was dim. Hydrogen filled the void, but there were no suns to shine, no galaxies to glow. The light we know now had not yet found its way back. The silence persisted, but within it something extraordinary was happening. Gravity began to weave its slow magic. Slightly denser regions of matter pulled on their neighbors, drawing gas into invisible wells. Over millions of years, the first stars ignited, bright, massive, short-lived beacons that Ryanized the universe, breaking the silence once and for all. The dark ages ended, and the cosmos awakened to its own reflection. When those first stars burned, their light was fierce, brilliant enough to sculpt the gas around them, to ignite the birth of galaxies. But what they illuminated was not chaos. It was the memory of stillness. The silence that came before never truly left. It lingers between stars, in the spaces between atoms, in the long pauses of cosmic time. Even now, amid the chatter of galaxies, silence is the true background of the universe. It's strange to think that silence, something we associate with absence, is actually the foundation of everything. Without it, there could be no contrast, no awareness, no moment to begin. The silence before the first light is not just a scientific moment. It's a universal truth. Every act of creation, cosmic or human, begins with quiet. And perhaps that's what the universe teaches us most profoundly. That stillness is not emptiness. It is potential. It is the place from which everything beautiful arises, from galaxies and stars to thoughts and dreams. The cosmos itself was born in a breathless hush, waiting for its own heartbeat to begin. So when we look at the sky and see stars glittering across the void, we are not just seeing light, we are seeing silence made visible. We are witnessing the moment when the universe took its first quiet breath and decided to shine. And if you listen closely enough, beneath the noise of existence, You can still hear that silence, vast, eternal, and waiting. The same silence that came before the first light, and the same one that will remain when all lights fade again. When we look into the night sky, we are not gazing into space, we are looking into history. Every glimmer of starlight is an echo, a whisper from the past, traveling across unimaginable distances to reach our waiting eyes. Some of those whispers began their journey before the Earth was even born. Others come from stars that have long since burned out, their light continuing onward, a memory outliving its source. But what lies between those stars, in the great black canvas of the universe, is far more mysterious. It is not emptiness, though it appears so. It is a presence, quiet, invisible, yet overwhelmingly dominant. Scientists call it dark energy. To the human eye, it is nothing. To the universe, it is everything. After the first light spread across the cosmos, the universe continued to expand, stretching space itself like the surface of an inflating balloon. Gravity pulled matter together to form galaxies, while expansion pulled them apart. For billions of years, these two cosmic forces were in a delicate balance, a slow dance between attraction and acceleration. But then something strange happened. The expansion began to speed up. It made no sense at first. The universe should have been slowing down as matter pulled inward. Yet the galaxies were flying apart faster and faster, as though some unseen hand were pushing them away. That invisible push was dark energy, a mysterious force woven into the fabric of space-time itself, driving the cosmos to expand faster with every passing moment. Dark energy doesn't glow. It doesn't reflect light. It doesn't collide, spin, or form. It simply is. A silent pressure filling the void, quietly rewriting the destiny of everything. No one knows exactly what it is, whether it's an energy field, a property of space, or something beyond human comprehension. But we know it's real. We see its fingerprints in the accelerating drift of galaxies, in the redshift of starlight, in the way the universe's geometry bends. Imagine standing in an open field, watching the horizon stretch farther and farther away. Not because you're moving, but because space itself is stretching between you and the edge. That's what the universe is doing right now, everywhere, all at once. Galaxies are not flying through space. Space is expanding between them, and as it does, the whispers of light that travel across it are stretched too. Their wavelengths elongated, their voices deepened. What once shone blue now glows red. What once burned bright now fades into silence. This slow fading is the cosmic whisper, the universe growing quieter as it expands. Every photon loses a bit of energy. Every pulse of light takes a little longer to arrive. Over billions of years, galaxies drift apart until their light becomes too faint to see. The night sky, once filled with the chatter of stars, will someday fall silent again. But that silence is not sorrowful. It's serene. It's the natural rhythm of existence. The same expansion that pushes galaxies away also creates space for new ones to form, for stars to ignite, for time to unfold. The universe breathes, expanding, cooling, evolving. It's not a static thing. It's alive in its own vast, slow way. We humans exist in a brief, luminous interval, a golden age where light still bridges the distances between galaxies. Billions of years from now, observers in a far-distant civilization may look into their own skies and see only their galaxy, adrift in blackness, unaware that others ever existed. The cosmic whispers we hear now will be gone, stretched beyond reach, and yet, within us, they remain. The atoms in your body that had the carbon, oxygen, and iron were born from those same cosmic forces. The same expansion that pulls galaxies apart once forged the stars that built you. You are, quite literally, a listener made from stardust, designed to hear the universe speak. Dark energy is not the enemy of creation, it's part of its story. Without it, the universe might have collapsed back upon itself long ago, swallowed by its own gravity. Instead, it stretches toward infinity, leaving room for endless possibility. Perhaps that's the secret woven into this cosmic whisper, that growth is not destruction. Expansion is not loss, it's transformation. For centuries, humanity believed space was static, a stage upon which matter moved. But now we know the stage itself moves, breathes, and bends. Every second, every heartbeat, the universe grows larger, the galaxies drift farther apart, and time itself stretches along with them. Even now, as you read this, the fabric of reality between you and the nearest star has grown slightly wider. It's imperceptible, yet relentless. If you could hear it, truly hear it, the expansion of the universe would not be loud or violent. It would sound like a sigh, a whisper that says, "Keep going." A gentle encouragement written into the equations of existence. That's what makes this chapter of the universe's story so hauntingly beautiful. It's not about chaos or destruction. It's about movement, like quiet, eternal, unstoppable movement. The galaxies are not running away from one another in fear. They're being carried on a current of space itself, drifting toward a horizon that can never be reached. And yet, within that infinite drift, life found a way to arise, tiny sparks of awareness floating in an ocean of expanding darkness. We are the universe, looking back at itself, trying to understand the current that carries us. Dark energy remains one of the great mysteries, unseen, untouchable, yet omnipresent. Some scientists call it the cosmological constant, others the vacuum energy, and some believe it's the echo of something even older, a remnant of the universe's birth, still resonating through time. Whatever its name, it reminds us of one humbling truth. We live in a universe that is still growing, still changing, still becoming, and perhaps that's the real miracle, that even after nearly 14 billion years, the universe hasn't stopped. It still whispers in expansion, still hums beneath the silence, still moves toward its next form. Every galaxy, every particle, every breath you take is part of that same movement, an endless unfolding. So the next time you look at the night sky, remember the darkness is not empty. It's alive with whispers. The stars may seem distant, but their voices travel across eternity to find you. You are listening to the universe's quietest song, the sound of space itself expanding, the whisper of the dark. In the stillness between galaxies, something invisible binds the chaos together. It holds stars in orbits, cradles planets in motion, and shapes the very curvature of reality. That something, soft yet absolute, is gravity. It is not a force in the ordinary sense. It does not push or pull like wind or magnetism. Instead, gravity is the quiet architect of the universe, designing space and time with invisible hands. When you drop a stone and it falls to the ground, you are witnessing the same law that holds galaxies together. What we call falling is simply an object following the shape of space itself. And space, warped by mass, tells everything how to move. Imagine a vast cosmic fabric stretched across eternity. Every star, planet, and particle presses into it, bending its surface. The heavier the object, the deeper the curve it creates. Smaller bodies slide along those curves, not because they're pulled, but because the geometry of the universe leads them there. This was Einstein's revelation, that gravity is not a force acting through space, but a property of space. Time and space are woven together, and massive objects sculpt that fabric, changing the way both flow. A star slows time around it. A black hole stops it completely. The cosmos is not a static void. It's a living, breathing web of curves and folds. A tapestry constantly reshaping itself under the weight of existence. If you could stand near a massive planet and watch a clock far away, you would see it tick faster than yours. The deeper you fall into gravity's embrace, the slower time becomes. To light, gravity acts like a lens, bending its path, distorting its image, twisting reality into spirals of wonder. It's a silent sculptor shaping what we see and even how we experience the passage of moments. But gravity does more than shape the world. It gives birth to it. Without gravity, matter would drift aimlessly. There would be no stars, no planets, no galaxies, just scattered dust across a frozen void. In the beginning, after the first light of the universe flickered into existence, gravity began its work. It gathered particles into clouds, clouds into stars, and stars into galaxies. Each cluster a cosmic cradle, each orbit a whisper of order within chaos. And as stars burned, gravity continued its quiet labor. When massive stars ran out of fuel, they collapsed under their own weight, triggering the brilliant deaths we call supernovae. These explosions seeded the cosmos with heavy elements: carbon, oxygen, iron, the ingredients of life itself. Gravity gathered those atoms again, reforming them into new stars, new worlds, and eventually living beings who could look up and wonder why they fall. In this way, gravity is both the destroyer and the creator. It ends the lives of stars only to build new generations from their ashes. Every breath you take is drawn from the remnants of that balance. Stardust shaped by collapse, born from gravitational fire. Yet, gravity's beauty lies not in its power, but in its patience. It works slowly, silently over billions of years. You will never hear it, never see it, yet its rhythm flows through everything. The moon's gentle pull on the tides, the orbit of Earth around the sun, the spiral arms of galaxies rotating like cosmic clockwork. It is the quiet music of existence. Einstein once described space-time as a fabric, but imagine instead that it is an ocean, a vast, unseen sea upon which galaxies float. Gravity is the current, the invisible flow that shapes where everything drifts. Massive stars create whirlpools. Black holes form maelstroms so deep that even light cannot escape. Around those edges, time and matter dance, swirling endlessly at the brink of forever. And it is here, at the boundaries of gravity's influence, that the most profound mysteries emerge. Black holes, the densest architects of all, bend space to the breaking point. Inside them, our understanding of physics collapses. Time ceases. Space folds inward. And yet, even here, gravity remains loyal to its nature. Shaping, guiding, defining. If you could fall into one, you would never notice the exact moment you cross the event horizon, the point of no return. To an outside observer, you would appear frozen in time, suspended forever at the edge. But from your perspective, you would keep falling, drawn toward an unknown center, a place where the laws of the universe dissolve into mystery. Gravity builds everything we know, yet it hides its final secret within the very structures it creates. Is it truly a force, or merely the curvature of something deeper? An illusion born from higher dimensions. Some scientists believe gravity may not be fundamental at all, but an emergent phenomenon, a kind of cosmic mirage created by quantum fields, like the shimmer of heat above desert sand. If that's true, then the architecture of the universe is even more wondrous than we imagine. Space itself could be a hologram, a projection of hidden information, and gravity the subtle way that information bends and flows. The stars, then, are not simply physical objects. They are expressions of geometry shaped by the invisible language of mathematics. But for all our theories, gravity remains the most human of forces. We live under its constant touch. It grounds us, defines our sense of weight, of place, of belonging. We are drawn toward the Earth just as planets are drawn toward their stars, bound by invisible threads that link everything together. Even love in its poetic sense feels like gravity, a pull between souls, an attraction across the emptiness. Perhaps that's why the universe feels familiar when we gaze at it, because deep down we recognize its design. The same law that holds galaxies together holds our hearts to one another. The same curvature that bends light also bends time, guiding us through a story written in orbits and echoes. Gravity is not merely an architect, it's a storyteller. Every falling leaf, every circling moon, every ripple in space-time is part of its narrative. It teaches us that everything, from the smallest atom to the largest galaxy, is connected through an elegant, invisible pattern. It reminds us that the universe is not chaos, but choreography. And so as we drift through this expanding cosmos, we are never truly separate from its design. We are bound within its architecture, shaped by gravity, carried by its rhythm, written into its structure. Every breath, every heartbeat, every thought follows the same geometry. The architecture of gravity is the architecture of existence itself, quiet, eternal, and endlessly beautiful. Time, the most elusive current in the cosmic sea. You cannot see it, cannot hold it, yet everything you know floats upon its surface. From the pulse in your wrist to the slow rotation of galaxies, time moves through all things, silent, invisible, unstoppable. And yet, for something so constant, it behaves like water. It can bend, stretch, and even freeze under the right conditions. The universe is not simply a stage where events unfold. It is time and space intertwined, inseparable, like the surface of an endless ocean. Each wave that rolls through it carries both matter and memory. Every particle drifts not just through space, but through a river of moments, pushed forward by the unseen tide of existence. Imagine standing at the edge of that ocean, an observer of eternity. Before you, waves rise and fall, stars igniting and fading, galaxies swirling like whirlpools, light itself caught in the undertow. You try to scoop a handful of this ocean, but it slips through your fingers. Time does not allow capture. It allows only passage. Einstein once said that the distinction between past, present, and future is merely a stubborn illusion. To time, everything is. The universe doesn't move from then to now to later. It already exists all at once as a vast, static structure. You are not moving through time. You are part of its shape, a pattern on its surface, a crest upon the infinite wave. If gravity is the architect of space, time is the architect of experience. It weaves continuity into chaos. It tells every atom when to move, when to stop, when to decay. Time gives direction to existence, carving the arrow that points from birth to death, from cause to effect, from beginning to end. But that arrow is not as absolute as it feels. In the vast theatres of the universe, time behaves differently depending on where you are. The closer you are to something massive, the slower time flows. Near a black hole, seconds can stretch into centuries. Far from any gravity, out in the intergalactic dark, time races forward like a torrent. It means there is no single, universal now. Each point in the cosmos has its own rhythm, its own heartbeat. Time does not pass equally uppity. It drifts like a current, carrying different travelers at different speeds. If you could leave Earth and soar near a black hole, when you returned, decades might have passed here, while for you, only moments. You would become a traveler out of sync, a sailor returning from the silent oceans of time. It sounds like fantasy, yet it's proven truth. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station experience it every day. Their clocks tick ever so slightly slower than ours on the ground. Minuscule differences, yes, but they are real. The universe does not treat all moments equally. It shapes time according to its own geometry. Now imagine this on a cosmic scale. Somewhere, light from a distant galaxy has been traveling for 10 billion years. By the time it reaches your eyes, that galaxy may no longer even exist. The light is a fossil, a memory carried across time's waters, a message from an ancient past that still glows in the present. You are not just looking across space. You are looking across time itself. It's as if the universe keeps a diary written in light. Every photon a sentence, every wavelength a memory. When you look at the stars, you're not seeing where they are, but where they were. The night sky is a museum of ancient light. Each point a relic, each shimmer a whisper from billions of years ago. And so the deeper you gaze, the further back you travel, to the beginning of it all, to the moment when time itself began to move. Scientists call it the Big Bang, but perhaps it wasn't an explosion at all. Perhaps it was a ripple, the first wave upon the silent ocean, a disturbance spreading outward from a stillness we cannot see. Before that ripple, there may have been no before. The idea itself breaks down because time did not yet exist. The first light wasn't just the birth of energy. It was the birth of sequence, the first rhythm, the first heartbeat of reality. And yet, even as time flows, it seems to carry paradox within it. If time has a beginning, must it also have an end? Will the ocean one day fall still again? Physicists have long debated this. Some believe the universe will expand forever, time stretching endlessly into silence. Others imagine a big crunch, where gravity will pull everything back together, rewinding the cosmic film until it collapses into itself. In that moment, perhaps time will stop or begin anew, as it always has. But maybe time is not linear at all. Maybe it loops, curls back on itself like the waves of a tide. Some theories suggest the future and past coexist, eternally feeding one another. To us, it feels like motion, but from a higher perspective, it might all exist at once. Every second that ever was and ever will be, already written in the great scroll of space-time. If so, then you, right now, are eternal. Every thought you've ever had, every breath you've taken, every glance at the night sky still exists somewhere in that vast geometry. You are not drifting through time. You are etched into it, a permanent ripple in the ocean's surface. Perhaps that's what makes time so hauntingly beautiful. It is both the giver and the thief of moments. It grants us memories but never lets us hold them. It writes the story of the universe, then keeps turning the page. But even though we cannot stop time, we can listen to its rhythm. We can feel it in the cycles of stars, in the ebb and flow of tides, in the beating of our hearts. Every rhythm is a reflection of the larger cosmic pulse. We are fragments of that greater timing, little clocks, ticking in harmony with the stars. So when you look up at the night sky, know this. You are gazing not into the future or the past, but into the flow that carries both. You are standing on the shore of the silent ocean of time, and every wave that breaks across your life, every joy, every sorrow, is part of the same eternal sea. And when the tide finally reaches its end, when the universe exhales its final breath, it may not vanish into nothingness, but simply return to stillness. The surface will smooth, the echoes will fade, and time will rest once more in quiet equilibrium, until perhaps it ripples again. There is a moment in every storm when the wind pauses and the air seems to hold its breath. In that silence, the world feels suspended, neither moving nor still, a heartbeat frozen mid-pulse. Imagine if the entire universe could experience that same stillness. Imagine if light itself, the fastest, most untouchable traveler in all creation, could stop moving. Light, as we know it, is the ultimate messenger. It carries the stories of galaxies, the reflections of our world, the memories of our past. Every image you've ever seen, every sunrise or star, has been carved into your eyes by photons. Tiny particles that never truly rest. They move at exactly 299.7 and 92, 458 meters per second. Always. No faster, no slower. In the great cosmic orchestra, they are the only musicians that never miss a beat. But what if light stopped? What if, somewhere beyond the edges of known reality, there existed a place so strange, so extreme, that light itself could no longer move forward? A place where the concept of speed collapses and time itself stands perfectly still? In the known universe, such places exist. They are called black holes, the cosmic abysses where gravity is so intense that space folds inward on itself. To approach one is to approach the limit of what the universe can endure. Near the edge, called the event horizon, even light, that eternal traveler, begins to hesitate. To an outside observer, it appears to slow, redshift, and fade until it stops entirely. From your point of view, that beam of light never crosses the horizon. It simply lingers there, forever frozen in time. For the light itself, however, nothing unusual happens. It continues its fall inward, crossing that invisible line, never to return. Two realities coexisting, one eternal, one fleeting. Both true, both impossible. This paradox reveals something profound. When light stops, so does time. Because time and light are intertwined, two threads in the same cosmic fabric. To move through time is to move slower than light. To move as light is to exist outside of time, and to stop light entirely is to stop existence as we know it. Consider what this means. Every moment you've ever lived, every heartbeat, every sunrise is measured in light. The second itself is defined by it. The vibration of atoms emitting light at precise frequencies. Light is not just illumination. It is the ruler of reality. Without it, there is no measurement, no change, no passage. So when light forgets to move, the universe forgets how to breathe. This may sound poetic, but it's not metaphor. In 2013, scientists at Harvard and the University of Bonn managed to freeze light in the lab. Using a special quantum gas of rubidium atoms cooled to near absolute zero, they slowed photons to walking speed, and then, for a fraction of a second, stopped them completely. The photons didn't vanish. They remained, suspended within the atomic cloud, as though the laws of physics had quietly held their breath. When they were released, the photons resumed their journey as if nothing had happened, unaware that they had just been paused in time. It's almost unsettling. This idea that the flow of light, and thus time, can be interrupted. It tells us something deeply intimate about reality, that what feels eternal may only be temporary, and what feels frozen may still hold the memory of motion. Now imagine this on a cosmic scale. Imagine the first photons born at the dawn of the universe, the ancient light of the Big Bang itself. For nearly 14 billion years, it has traveled across the expanding void. Cooling and stretching into the faint microwave background we can still detect today. Those photons have never stopped. They are still moving, carrying the universe's oldest memory. But one day, billions of years from now, even those ancient travelers will fade into the cosmic night. The expansion of space will stretch their wavelengths until they lose their energy entirely. The universe will become a place where light no longer travels. Not because it's trapped, but because there is nothing left to carry. No stars, no warmth, just silence. Physicists call this the heat death of the universe, a future where everything is so spread out, so cold, that energy can no longer flow. Light, the last whisper of creation, will forget to move. Time will flatten. All processes will stop. It will be the stillness of stillness and the great quiet after the final note. But even that isn't truly an end. If light defines the rhythm of time, perhaps when it fades, something else will awaken. The universe may recycle itself, collapsing, igniting, or birthing new dimensions beyond our perception. After all, every time light stops, it marks not only an ending, but a threshold. When we look at black holes, we're seeing that threshold in real time. These are places where light's loyalty to motion finally breaks. From their edges, information falls inward and never returns. Yet paradoxically, physicists now believe that this information is not lost. It is encoded on the very surface of the event horizon, like a cosmic hologram. The light may stop moving forward, but its message remains, and maybe that's true for us too. When our own light fade, when our days slow to stillness, perhaps what we are, the essence of our story, is written into the fabric of time itself. Not erased, just preserved waiting. It is strange to think that light, the simplest of things, holds the most complex of truths. It defines what can be known, what can be seen, and even what can exist. Without it, we have no distance, no color, no moment to name as now. It is the bridge between nothing and something, between silence and song. Yet, in those rare cosmic corners where it pauses, where it forgets its eternal duty to move, we glimpse something beyond understanding, the hidden heart of the universe. A place not of chaos, but of quiet perfection. Perhaps beyond the event horizon, beyond the stretch of time, there exists a state where everything simply is. No motion, no decay, no longing. Just the eternal echo of what once was, suspended forever in the dark. And maybe, just maybe, that is not the end of light, but its ultimate rest. Every night, when we lift our gaze to the sky, we are not looking at the present. We are looking into memory, the oldest kind there is. Every twinkle you see is a whisper from the past, light that has traveled for years, centuries, sometimes millennia, to reach your eyes. The stars you see tonight may no longer exist. Some might have died long ago, their ashes scattered into the cosmic wind, yet their light still journeys onward, painting the sky with echoes of what once was. The stars are storytellers, but their stories arrive late. Messages from a universe that is always one step ahead of us. If you think about it, the night sky is a vast museum of time. Each star, each glowing speck, is a relic from a different chapter of cosmic history. The nearest star's light left just over 4 years ago. The light of the Andromeda galaxy began its journey when early humans first learned to stand upright, and the faintest glimmers we detect from the edge of the cosmos, the ancient afterglow of the Big Bang, began their journey more than 13 billion years ago. So, when you stare into the stars, you are looking at a time before Earth was born, before oceans, before life, before thought itself. The universe you see above you is a collection of memories, a photograph so vast that it took eternity to expose. But what is it that stars remember? They remember creation. The first atoms that formed after the Big Bang, mostly hydrogen and helium, drifted aimlessly through the darkness until gravity gathered them together. Under unimaginable pressure, the first stars ignited. Inside them, fusion began. The slow alchemy of the cosmos. Hydrogen fused into helium, helium into carbon, carbon into oxygen, silicon, iron. In their hearts, stars built everything that would one day become us. When those early stars died, they exploded as supernovae, scattering their enriched guts into space. Their dust became the seeds of new stars, planets, oceans, forests, and eventually the neurons firing in your mind as you read these words. The stars remember this cycle because they are this cycle. Birth, brilliance, collapse, and rebirth again, When you see the light of a distant sun, you are seeing that memory, the record of its burning, its breath, its final song, and just like all memories, starlight fades. It redshifts as it travels, stretched by the expansion of the universe until it turns faint and cold. The farther it goes, the more its color drifts toward invisibility. Eventually, it becomes part of the cosmic microwave background, that soft, ancient hum that still fills all of space. Even in their silence, the stars leave an aftertaste of their existence, woven into the static of creation. For astronomers, decoding these memories is like archaeology in time. Each photon that lands in a telescope carries clues, not just about where it came from, but when. The color tells us its age. The energy reveals its temperature. The spectrum shows us the chemical fingerprints of its birth. By reading light, we read history. Think of it like a diary written in code. Each star keeps a journal, not in ink, but in light. And across the cosmos, those diaries spill open into our night sky. Every beam that touches us says, "I was here, I burned, I mattered," and perhaps that is why the stars hold us so deeply. They remind us that we too are memories in motion. We too emit our own kind of light, not in photons, but in experiences, stories, and choices. The universe records us in its own quiet way. The atoms in your body were once part of a star that died billions of years ago. Your bones, your blood, your heartbeat, all of it forged in the cores of suns that lived and perished long before humanity had a name. When you exhale, you return some of that stardust to the world. You are, quite literally, the memory of stars. It's easy to feel small when you look at the night sky. But what if the opposite is true? What if, instead of being insignificant, you are the continuation of something vast, a flame that began long before you and will continue long after? Every action, every kindness, every thought adds to the light that the universe remembers. In this sense, memory is not just a human trait. It's a cosmic one. The stars remember not because they choose to, but because their very nature is to record change. Every flicker, every burst, every collapse leaves a mark. The same is true for us. Every joy and heartbreak, every lesson learned, adds to the record of what it means to exist. The star's light eventually fades, yes, but before it disappears, it transforms. It becomes part of something larger, something unseen but eternal. So too with us. The memories we make ripple outward, carried forward in ways we'll never fully grasp. In the people we touch, in the lives we shape, in the ideas we spark. When you look at a star, you are seeing a being that once burned with impossible intensity, knowing full well it would one day die. Yet it shone anyway. It poured itself into the universe without hesitation. Its purpose was not to last forever, but to become part of something greater. Maybe that's the quiet wisdom of the cosmos, to shine even knowing the end, to give light freely without fear of fading. Because in doing so, we become infinite, not in duration, but in effect. So, the next time you look up and see that trembling light, remember, you are not just an observer of the universe's memory, you are a continuation of it. A living expression of all that has ever burned. And somewhere, billions of years from now, when your atoms drift back into the void, when your energy becomes one with the stars again, some distant consciousness, somewhere beyond time, will see your light and think, that was beautiful. Because everything that ever shines, shines forever, even if the universe takes a while to notice. Before there were galaxies, before there were stars, before there was even light, there was silence. A silence so complete it held no sound, no memory, no direction. It was not darkness, because darkness assumes the absence of light. This was something else entirely. A state before anything could be missing. And yet, Within that silence, something stirred. It wasn't a movement, but a possibility. The faintest shimmer of potential began to hum, not in space, but as space. The universe, in its first breath, began to dream. We often imagine the Big Bang as an explosion, a violent burst of fire and fury, but perhaps it was something gentler. The awakening of a mind so vast it could only speak in galaxies. A consciousness not bound by thought, but by being. The universe dreamed itself awake. In that dream, matter began to take shape. Quarks danced into existence, joining to form protons and neutrons, spinning in a cosmic waltz guided by invisible laws that did not yet know their names. Energy condensed into form, and time began to move forward, though there was no one yet to count its steps. The first seconds of existence were a blur of creation. Everything was happening everywhere, all at once. The newborn cosmos was like an infant, expanding rapidly, growing faster than comprehension, its heat and density rewriting the very rules of reality with every passing instant. But even then, something extraordinary was happening. The chaos was not random. Patterns began to emerge, forces balanced, constants stabilized, particles aligned. It was as if the universe had found its rhythm, as though it had begun to learn itself. Physicists describe this moment as symmetry breaking, when perfect uniformity gave way to complexity. But what if that was the universe's first thought, its first moment of self-recognition? Like a dreamer realizing they are dreaming, the universe was no longer empty. It was aware, not in the way a human mind is aware, but in a vast, wordless way, a field of potential that began to organize itself into experience. Space expanded, energy cooled, hydrogen formed, and from that hydrogen came the stars, the neurons of a cosmic brain, firing light into the void. Each star that ignited was like a spark of memory, a flicker of awareness. Galaxies clustered like synapses connected by filaments of invisible matter, the cosmic web. When you look at that web, its structure mirrors that of the human brain almost perfectly. Billions of galaxies, billions of neurons, both pulsing with energy, both carrying the imprint of thought. It is tempting to imagine that we are the universe's consciousness, that through us it became aware of itself, but perhaps it was always awake, waiting for a way to express what it already knew. When life appeared, it was not an accident. It was a continuation with the universe learning to look inward. On a small blue planet orbiting an average star, atoms that were once trapped in starlight learned to see, to think, to wonder. Every thought you've ever had is made of the same particles that once blazed inside stars. Every emotion, every memory, every dream is the universe processing itself through your mind. When you gaze at the night sky, it is not just you looking at the universe. It is the universe looking back through your eyes. For billions of years, the cosmos existed in silence, unaware of its own beauty. But now, through living beings, it can reflect, marvel, and feel. Life, in this sense, is the universe's way of tasting its own existence, of turning raw physics into meaning. Imagine the universe as a great ocean. For most of its life, it was still, dark, unknowing. Then, through the movement of time, small waves began to ripple. Those waves became galaxies, stars, planets, and eventually consciousness. Each human mind, each living creature, is one of those waves, briefly rising above the surface before merging back into the whole. But here's the miracle. While you are here, for this fleeting moment, you are the universe experiencing itself in the first person. You are not separate from it. You are its awareness, wearing a temporary form. When ancient civilizations looked to the stars and saw gods, perhaps they weren't entirely wrong. They sensed something sacred, something intelligent, in the motion of the heavens. They saw reflections of themselves in the constellations, stories, emotions, fears, and hopes. The universe was speaking, and humanity listened in myths and metaphors. Today we speak through equations and telescopes, but the message is the same. Everything is connected. From the hum of an atom to the spin of a galaxy, there is a single pulse that runs through it all. Call it physics, call it God, call it consciousness. It is the same dreamer dreaming through infinite forms. And just like dreams, this cosmic awareness is layered. Galaxies think in millennia, stars think in centuries, humans think in moments. Yet all are threads of the same consciousness, moving together towards something unknown, perhaps an even greater awakening. What if the universe is still dreaming? What if it has not yet reached full awareness, but is slowly opening its eyes through us, through future civilizations, through whatever life might one day bloom in distant galaxies? Every discovery we make, or every image of a black hole, every new law of physics, is like the universe remembering something about itself. Every insight, every act of wonder brings it closer to knowing what it is, and maybe, when the last star burns out and all light fades, the universe will finally dream a final dream, one so vast it loops back on itself, creating a new beginning, a new breath, a new dawn. In that moment, everything that ever lived, thought, and felt will return to the source, and the cycle will begin again. The universe will close its eyes, only to open them once more, reborn in the silence it once emerged from. So, if you ever feel small, remember this. You are part of the moment the universe realized it existed. You are a sentence in its grand autobiography, a thought in its endless mind, and as long as you continue to wonder, to question, to dream, the universe continues to awaken. Gravity. The quiet architect of the universe, the invisible hand that gathers chaos and sculpts it into harmony. It doesn't roar or flash, it simply pulls, softly, endlessly, with the patience of eternity. Every star, every planet, every heartbeat owes its rhythm to gravity. It's the silent storyteller behind every orbit, every collision, every birth and death of a celestial body. Without it, there would be no galaxies, no suns, no homes for life. Only the unbound dust of forgotten potential. But gravity is more than just force. It is memory. It remembers where things belong. It reminds the universe to stay connected, to reach for what it has lost. When Einstein looked at the stars and asked what holds them together, he realized something extraordinary. Gravity wasn't a mysterious rope tying objects across space. It was space itself, curving around mass. A star bends the very fabric it sits upon, and planets simply follow the curve like marbles spiraling down a gentle slope. Space is not empty. It moves, it bends, it breathes. And gravity is that breath, the way the universe sighs into shape. Imagine dropping a single grain of sand onto the surface of an endless black ocean. That ripple you see is gravity. It moves outward forever, shaping everything it touches. From the fall of an apple to the orbit of galaxies, every ripple sings the same song, the music of attraction. Yet for all its power, gravity is fragile. The weakest of the four fundamental forces, it's easily overcome by even the touch of your hand. But like a poet's whisper, its strength is not in volume, but in persistence. Across cosmic distances, its influence never fades. It connects everything with invisible threads of longing. Black holes are its most haunting expression. Places where gravity becomes so intense it swallows even light. Inside their event horizons, the laws of physics as we know them collapse. Time stops, matter folds, and reality itself kneels to gravity's will. For a long time, scientists saw black holes as monsters, devouring everything near them. But now we know they're also creators. They shape galaxies, spark star formation, and regulate cosmic balance. They're not the end, they're punctuation marks in the grammar of existence. At the center of almost every galaxy, including our own Milky Way, there lies a supermassive black hole. Millions, sometimes billions, of times more massive than our Sun. Everything orbits it, like planets around a cosmic heart. The galaxy itself, that sprawling river of light, moves to the rhythm of its silent pulse, and yet, despite their terrifying power, black holes teach us something deeply human. They are the embodiment of inevitability, that every creation carries within it the seed of its own return. That even light, the freest traveler in the cosmos, eventually finds something it cannot escape. Gravity, in this way, is not just physical, it's emotional. It's the same force that draws us to each other, that binds hearts across distance, that makes us long for home. It's why we fall in love, why we ache when apart, why we orbit memories even when they no longer shine. The cosmos mirrors our inner world because we are made from it. We are matter held together by gravity and emotion. When you miss someone, it's a kind of gravitational pull, seen invisible but undeniable. When you dream, when you hope, when you reach, you are responding to that same cosmic instinct to connect. Our ancestors looked at the stars and felt that pull long before they knew its name. They built myths around it, gods of the sky, deities of love and attraction, trying to describe what they felt but couldn't see. They sensed gravity not as a force, but as fate, the invisible thread tying all things to their purpose, and maybe they were right. Because gravity doesn't just move planets, it moves destiny. It draws everything toward balance, toward reunion. Even the universe, endlessly expanding, still carries within it the echo of its own beginning. The gravitational memory of the first moment, when everything was one. Scientists predict that if the universe contains enough matter, its expansion might one day slow, stop, and reverse, collapsing back into a single point in what they call the Big Crunch. If that happens, gravity will have the final word. It will pull everything, stars, galaxies, even time itself, back into the womb of creation. But perhaps that wouldn't be an ending. Perhaps it would be sleep. The universe closing its eyes, resting, only to awaken again in a new dream. Another Big Bang, another breath of existence. It's hard not to feel something deeply personal in that. The way the cosmos cycles through life and death mirrors our own rhythm. Inhale, exhale, birth, decay, rebirth. The same dance written on every scale of being. Gravity doesn't fight chaos, it organizes it. It doesn't destroy that, it teaches balance. Every fall is a kind of return, every collapse a reformation. Every black hole, a gateway to new creation. So perhaps in the end, gravity is not about pulling things down, it's about bringing them home. You feel it when your feet press into the earth, when you close your eyes and feel the planet spinning beneath you, when you look up and realize that, even as we drift through an infinite void, something is keeping us steady. That steadying force, that silent bond, is gravity, the dream the universe never stopped having. And maybe, just maybe, the reason we dream at all is because gravity still hums inside us, reminding us that every thought, every love, every life is part of the same cosmic attraction that began billions of years ago. When you fall asleep tonight, think of the stars. Think of their weight, their motion, their dance. Feel the pull between them and you. For all your fears of being small, the truth is this: you are bound to everything. You always have been, and as long as gravity continues to hold, the universe and you will never truly fall apart. Before stars, before galaxies, before even atoms could find each other, there was light. Not the kind that flickers from a candle or burns from a sun, but a soft, invisible radiance born from the very birth cry of the cosmos. The universe had just emerged from its fiery beginning, expanding faster than any imagination could grasp. Everything that ever would be, every star, planet, and living breath, was still nothing more than potential, suspended in a blinding storm of energy. Then came the first silence. The universe cooled. Protons and electrons, which had been colliding violently, began to slow enough to embrace one another, to form atoms of hydrogen. And when that happened, light was finally free. The fog lifted. Photons, which had been trapped for hundreds of thousands of years in a cosmic prison of heat and chaos, were released to travel, endlessly peacefully, outward. That was the moment when the first true light of the universe was born. Scientists call it the cosmic microwave background, or CMB, but what it truly is the echo of creation itself. The faint afterglow of the Big Bang, still whispering across the emptiness. Even now, that light is everywhere. It fills the spaces between galaxies, drifts through the voids where nothing else dares to exist. You can't see it with your eyes, but every radio telescope on Earth can hear its faint song, a steady hiss, uniform in every direction. It is the quiet background hum of everything that ever was. In 1965, two engineers, Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson, stumbled upon it by accident. They were working on a radio antenna in New Jersey, trying to clear an odd static that refused to go away. They cleaned the equipment. They removed the pigeons nesting inside. Still, the noise persisted. Steady, omnipresent, unchanging. Only later did they realize what they'd found. The voice of the early universe. That soft, endless static was light from nearly 14 billion years ago, stretched and cooled by the expansion of time itself. Imagine the universe speaking across eternity, and two ordinary men on a quiet morning happening to listen. That faint glow is older than every star you can see, older than the Milky Way, older than the atoms in your blood. It is the universe's first photograph, a snapshot taken just 380,000 years after time began. In that image, scientists can see tiny ripples, faint variations in temperature no greater than a fraction of a degree. But those ripples mattered. They were the seeds, the fingerprints of future galaxies. Every cluster of stars, every spiral of worlds, every breath of life began from those gentle wrinkles in the first light. If the universe were a vast painting, this was its first brushstroke, imperfect, uneven, yet destined to define everything that followed. To look at the CMB is to look backward beyond imagination. It's not a metaphor. When scientists aim satellites like Planck or WMAP into the void, they are literally seeing the edge of visibility. Beyond that, there is no light, no signal, only mystery. That invisible horizon, the boundary between what we can see and what we can never reach, is what we call the edge of the observable universe. Yet that doesn't mean the universe ends there. Beyond that wall of light lies the unknown, realms still expanding, perhaps infinite in all directions. But for us, that faint microwave glow marks the limit of perception. It's the last visible whisper of creation, and still it is strangely comforting, because in that light lies proof that we belong to something vast, ancient, and continuous. Those same photons that left the young universe billions of years ago are passing through you right now, through your body, through the air, through the oceans and trees and stones. The afterglow of creation touches everything. You are, in a very literal sense, bathed in the memory of the beginning. Think of that the next time you stand beneath the night sky. The darkness is not empty. It's full of invisible light, light that has traveled across nearly the entire history of existence just to reach you. Every second, every inch of space carries that quiet warmth. The background temperature of the universe is about 2.7 kelvins, only a few degrees above absolute zero. Yet that faint warmth is enough to remind us the cosmos still remembers its birth. There's something almost human in that persistence, in the way the universe carries its scars, its echoes, its memories. We do the same. Every cell in your body carries traces of what came before, the calcium from ancient oceans, the iron forged in dying stars, the carbon from forgotten suns. We too are echoes of light, stretched thin across time. And perhaps that's what makes this discovery so profound. It's not just that the CMB proves the Big Bang, it's that it tells us we were never apart from it. We are still living inside its aftermath, inside the first breath that creation ever took. If you could close your eyes and truly listen to the silence, you might hear it, not with your ears, but with your sense of awe. The low hum of being, the slow pulse of expansion, the quiet song of everything that ever was, still reverberating through the blackness. And maybe that's the secret beauty of the cosmos. It never forgets. Even the faintest whisper is preserved. Even the light that should have died still travels, patient and eternal, through the long corridors of time. In a way, we are each small receivers, antennae tuned, without realizing it, to the song of the beginning. The same radiation that Penzias and Wilson found hums softly through the background of your life. You don't hear it. You live within it. You dream within it. It is the warmth that fills the silence when everything else is gone. So when you look up at the night sky, remember this. The darkness is not an absence of light. It is a tapestry woven from the faintest glows of the first dawn. The universe is still shining, just softly, like a lullaby from before time had a name. And somewhere beyond the edges of what we can see, the light continues, carrying the memory of that first awakening ever farther, ever quieter, into infinity. Somewhere beyond the visible edge of our universe, light fades into uncertainty. The galaxies stretch thinner, the cosmic background cools, and then silence. But what if that silence isn't an ending? What if just beyond that invisible horizon there are other worlds? Other beginnings? A mirror not made of glass, but of possibility itself. For centuries, humans believed the universe was everything, a single grand stage containing all of existence. But the deeper we looked, the more we began to question that comforting illusion. Perhaps our universe is just one bubble among countless others, floating in an infinite sea of creation, a single drop in a vast cosmic ocean. Physicists call this idea the multiverse, a place where countless universes exist side by side, each with its own laws, constants, and destinies. Some may be strange reflections of ours, others completely alien, universes without stars, without light, without even time, and yet together they might form a greater whole, a cosmic symphony so immense, no single melody could ever define it. If you could drift beyond the boundary of our known cosmos, past the fading afterglow of the Big Bang, perhaps you would find another bubble, expanding beside ours, separated by nothing but invisible distance. Each universe would be unreachable but real, expanding forever in parallel. Some scientists picture the multiverse as a frothing sea of cosmic foam. Each bubble is a universe forming, growing, and dissolving in the eternal dance of inflation, the mysterious expansion that once ignited everything. Others imagine it as a vast tree of branching realities, where every quantum decision splits existence into infinite possibilities. In one branch, a star is born. In another, it collapses into silence. In one world, you are reading these words. In another, you never were. It's easy to dismiss these ideas as dreams, but they arise not from fantasy, but from the mathematics of the cosmos. The inflationary theory, the same that explains why our universe looks smooth and uniform on the largest scales, naturally gives birth to infinite others. Like bubbles forming endlessly in boiling water, universes may emerge wherever the quantum fields of space find just the right conditions to ignite creation. If that's true, then somewhere, right now, new universes are being born, invisible to us, beyond any telescope's gaze. They blossom in silence, their own space and time unfolding from nothing, each carrying its own version of physics, its own possibilities for matter, energy, and life. And yet, what's most humbling is this: if there are infinite universes, then every possible version of reality exists somewhere. Every choice you might have made, every path you didn't take, every star that could have formed but didn't. All of it exists, not in imagination, but in some far corner of the multiverse. In one world, Earth might orbit 2 suns. In another, the laws of gravity could be weaker, and galaxies might never form. In another still, time itself might run backward, with the future giving birth to the past. The human mind struggles to grasp infinity, yet it's within that infinite expanse that we might find meaning. Not as the center of creation, but as a reflection within a boundless mirror. Each universe, each possibility is a new verse in the cosmic poem, and what would that mean for us? Fragile beings of stardust clinging to a small blue world. Perhaps it means that our existence is both insignificant and extraordinary. Insignificant because we are one story among endless others. Extraordinary because we are aware of it, because in the quiet of our thoughts, the multiverse looks back through our eyes and wonders at itself. Imagine, for a moment, a single photon, a particle of light, escaping from a dying star billions of years ago. It crosses the endless dark, never knowing that in another universe a mirror star burns a different hue, its light never meant for us. 2 lights, separated by realities, unaware of each other, yet both born of the same desire to illuminate. That is the poetry of the multiverse. It is not about chaos or confusion. It is about abundance, the idea that creation is not limited to one attempt. The cosmos does not make one universe and stop. It keeps dreaming, keeps expanding, keeps creating, and if there are infinite universes, then somewhere out there may be one where the laws of physics allow consciousness to spread across galaxies, one where civilizations have reached eternity, and one where life never began at all. Infinity contains all of it, and perhaps, in some mysterious way, connects it all too. But can these universes ever meet? Can one reality touch another? The answer for now is no, not by any means we know. The distance between them isn't like the space between stars. It's not a matter of light years. It's separation by dimension itself. Each universe wrapped in its own fabric of space-time, forever sealed from the others. Still, quantum physics hints at strange connections. Particles that share a single origin remain entangled, their fates mysteriously linked across any distance. If the universe itself began as one quantum fluctuation, might every universe born from it still carry some silent thread to the others? A cosmic entanglement of creation? We don't know. But the question alone reveals something beautiful, that even in our ignorance, we sense connection. That maybe somewhere there's a version of you standing beneath a slightly different sky, wondering the same thing. In the quiet of night, when the stars burn faintly and the mind drifts between wakefulness and dream, this thought can feel both infinite and intimate. Because if the multiverse is real, then existence itself is never alone. Every story, every heartbeat, every spark of life is part of a greater whole, a vast mirror reflecting possibility back upon itself. Perhaps that's what it means to exist. Not to be unique, but to be part of something endless. Each universe a heartbeat, Each life a note in a song that never ends. So when you look up into the sky tonight and wonder how far it all goes, remember, the edge you see is only the beginning. Beyond that, countless worlds may rise and fall, their own suns setting in oceans of time. The universe you know is but one reflection, shimmering softly in the infinite mirror of all that could ever be. And maybe, just maybe, in that reflection, something is looking back. There is a quiet rhythm beneath everything, an invisible pulse that keeps the cosmos together. Galaxies spin, stars drift, and planets dance in orbits not by chance, but by a force that binds even the furthest reaches of space. Gravity. It is not loud nor violent. It is patient, eternal. The whisper that holds eternity in place. If you could step outside the universe for a moment, you might see it like a great tapestry, galaxies strung together by invisible threads, curving space-time itself. Every atom, every star, every breath you take bends that fabric ever so slightly, shaping the geometry of existence. Gravity is not just a force, it's the memory of matter, the way space remembers mass, the way time bows to energy. Albert Einstein once changed our understanding of the cosmos by revealing that gravity isn't a mysterious attraction, but a conversation between space and time. Matter tells space-time how to curve. Space-time tells matter how to move. It's not magic. It's music, a cosmic waltz, where time itself bends to the weight of creation. Imagine a star collapsing under its own gravity, a fusion engine exhausted after billions of years. The light fades, the core implodes, and in that instant gravity becomes absolute. It crushes everything, atoms, space, even time, into a single point, a black hole, a place where gravity grows so strong that nothing, not even light, can escape. Yet even in that eternal darkness, the universe remembers. Around every black hole, space ripples like a pond struck by a single stone. These ripples are gravitational waves, the echoes of colossal events that shake the fabric of reality. When two black holes merge, their collision sends tremors through space-time itself, traveling for billions of years until one day they reach Earth. Whispering across our instruments, something moved the universe. It's humbling to think about. Those faint ripples began before life even existed here. Yet they pass through you now, altering your body, your atoms, by a distance smaller than a proton. And still, they are real. Gravity connects everything, even across the gulf of cosmic history. But perhaps the most poetic truth about gravity is that it's not only a cosmic architect, it's a storyteller. It shapes the grand arcs of galaxies, yes, but it also tells the story of endings. Every orbit eventually decays. Every star will fall. Every dance must come to stillness. The universe, vast as it is always falling, a slow, graceful descent into deeper quiet. And yet, there's a strange comfort in that, because gravity doesn't destroy, it unites. It brings together what was once scattered. Stars form when clouds of dust and gas collapse under their own weight. Planets coalesce from that same pool. Life itself exists because gravity built the stars that made the atoms in our bodies. Every cell, every heartbeat carries within it the echo of gravity's embrace. In a sense, gravity is the universe's longing to return to itself. It's as if matter remembers its origin and the moment of creation and seeks to gather again, to touch, to hold. Perhaps that's why we too feel a pull toward connection, why solitude feels unnatural. We are built of the same yearning, the same desire to belong to something greater. If eternity had a shape, it would not be a straight line, but a curve, the same curve that gravity draws across space, curved like the orbits of planets, curved like the paths of falling stars, curved like the arms of galaxies spiraling into forever. Gravity teaches us that forever is not distance, it's return. In some distant future, perhaps trillions of years from now, when the last stars have burned out and galaxies drift apart into the cold, gravity will still be there, soft and invisible. Black holes will remain, silent and ancient, slowly evaporating through quantum whispers. Even then, gravity will hold its quiet vigil until the last particle has vanished and the cosmic stage grows dark once more. But maybe that isn't the end. Maybe, in that perfect silence, gravity will find a way to begin again. A seed of infinite compression that bursts forth into another universe. Perhaps this isn't a single story, but an endless cycle. Creation, collapse, rebirth, each universe giving rise to the next through the gravity of forever. There's a strange peace in knowing that everything which falls eventually becomes part of something new. The stars that died before Earth formed became the dust that made us. Their collapse was our creation, their endings our beginnings. Gravity writes that story over and over in the language of orbits and collapse. And when we look at the night sky, when we gaze at the Milky Way arching across the heavens, we are not just looking outward, we are looking inward, into the gravity that binds every memory, every atom, every possibility. The stars you see are not distant strangers. They are pieces of your own existence, held together by the same unseen hand. There is a gentle irony in how something so powerful is also so quiet. You never hear gravity work. You never see it move. But it's always there, patient, eternal, guiding the motion of the stars, the fall of rain, the beating of your heart. It is the calm heartbeat of the cosmos. Perhaps that's what forever truly is. Not endless time, but endless connection. Gravity is the thread that weaves through everything, ensuring that nothing ever truly drifts away. Every fall, every collapse, every loss in the universe is just one more act of return, one more step toward unity. When the universe finally grows old, when light fades and even black holes dissolve, gravity will have told the longest story ever written, one of attraction, union, and release. And maybe in that final moment when all is still, the universe will remember its own rhythm and start again. Until then, we continue to fall, gracefully, endlessly, through the gravity of forever. If the universe could dream, what would it see? Perhaps it would imagine itself as a spark, a memory of its own beginning. Or maybe it would see through the eyes of every being that ever looked up at the night sky, trying to understand where it came from. In those moments when consciousness meets the cosmos, something extraordinary happens. The universe becomes aware of itself. Humanity, in that sense, is not separate from the universe. We are the way the universe watches itself unfold, the living mirrors of its vast reflection. Every neuron firing in your mind is an echo of ancient starlight. Every thought is a ripple of energy shaped by cosmic dust. You are not in the universe. You are the universe, thinking, dreaming, and remembering. It's strange to think that atoms in your hands were once scattered across different stars. The calcium in your bones was forged in supernovas. The iron in your blood came from dying suns. You are the result of cosmic recycling, the stardust that learned to wonder where it came from. When you close your eyes, you might imagine darkness, but in that quiet, your mind hums with the same patterns that guide galaxies. You are made of the same silence that fills interstellar space. Billions of years ago, when the first galaxies formed, there was no concept of life, only energy, matter, and the slow unfolding of order from chaos. Yet within those endless probabilities, something happened. Stars gave birth to elements. Planets cooled. chemistry began to weave itself into something more intricate. Molecules learned to replicate, to remember, to adapt. And with that, consciousness began, not as a miracle separate from nature, but as its inevitable continuation. Somewhere deep in the DNA of every living being lies the memory of the universe trying to understand itself. Each cell, each breath, is part of a grand feedback loop, the cosmos observing its own existence through billions of tiny, flickering minds. When you look up at the stars are, in a way, looking back through you. Physicists often talk about the observer effect, the idea that observation itself can change reality. On a quantum level, particles exist in a state of possibility until they are measured. Only then do they take on a definite form. It's as if reality is shy, revealing its true face only when someone is watching. Perhaps consciousness is not a side effect of the universe, but a requirement for its existence. The mirror that allows it to see itself clearly. If this is true, then every thought, every dream, every act of wonder matters. The universe doesn't just exist in cold silence, it exists through awareness. When you wonder what lies beyond the edge of existence, the cosmos wonders with you. When you gaze into the dark, you become the bridge between emptiness and meaning. Imagine standing on a quiet hill at night, where the air is still and the stars stretch endlessly above you. In that silence, you feel a faint hum. Not a sound, but a presence. The same vibration that lives in the atoms of distant galaxies lives inside you. You are not separate from it. You are the continuation of it. The universe dreams through you, and you dream it back into being. This realization is both beautiful and humbling. We spend so much of our lives trying to find meaning through science, faith, love, and art, never realizing that meaning itself might be what gives the universe form. Every emotion you've ever felt, every question you've asked, adds to the universe's unfolding self-awareness. The cosmos isn't just expanding in space, it's expanding in understanding. If consciousness is the universe dreaming, then death is not an ending. It's a return to that dream. The energy that animates your mind doesn't vanish. It disperses, becoming part of the same eternal cycle that once gave birth to stars. You return to the silence that dreamed you into existence. And perhaps one day, that silence will dream you again. In the grand scheme of time, humanity is still a child, barely learning to listen to the heartbeat of the cosmos. But even in our brief existence, we've sent our thoughts, our songs, and our machines into the void, whispering to whatever might be out there. We are here. And perhaps somewhere in another corner of reality, something is whispering back, so are we. As science continues to unfold, we begin to see more clearly how fragile and miraculous consciousness is. It's not limited to one species or one world. It could be the universal law of awareness, arising wherever the conditions are right. Every mind that exists anywhere is another reflection of the same infinite dream. It's a comforting thought that the universe is not alone, that through us and through countless others scattered among the stars, it knows joy, sorrow, curiosity, and love. It knows the beauty of being aware. When you stare into the cosmos and feel that strange ache, that longing that cannot be named, that's the universe missing itself through you. We are made of longing. Gravity pulls matter together. Curiosity pulls consciousness forward. Every discovery, every act of creativity is another attempt to complete the picture, to see the whole dream. We look through telescopes not because we are lost, but because we are searching for ourselves. And maybe someday, when humanity reaches beyond the galaxies and touches the edge of space-time itself, we will not find gods or answers, but a reflection, a realization that everything we have ever known, loved, or wondered was simply the universe, dreaming of being alive. The next time you close your eyes and drift towards sleep, think of it this way. The universe is resting with you. The same quiet energy that forged stars and built galaxies now curls softly behind your eyelids. Every dream you have is another ripple in the vast ocean of cosmic memory. Perhaps that's the real definition of eternity. Not endless existence, but endless awareness. To dream, to wonder, to remember over and over through endless forms, and so the universe continues to dream. Through galaxies, through atoms, through you, in the farthest reaches of time, beyond the fading of stars and the cooling of galaxies, there will come a silence so vast that even light itself will forget how to move. The universe, once a storm of creation and fire, will exhale for the last time. And in that breathless stillness, existence will rest. But before that silence arrives, there is a story, one that began with a whisper of energy, a moment of birth we call the Big Bang. From that single spark came everything: light, matter, motion, time. And through it all, the universe has been expanding, stretching itself thinner and colder with every passing second. Like a song played too slowly, its rhythm has grown faint, yet still it continues, cosmic heartbeat echoing through eternity. One day, that heartbeat will fade. Physicists call it heat death, the final equilibrium, when everything reaches the same cold, uniform temperature. No more stars will be born. No more warmth will flicker between atoms. The galaxies, scattered beyond recognition, will drift through a universe that has forgotten its own light. The cosmos will become an endless ocean of black, punctuated only by the quiet decay of what once was. It sounds terrifying, a grand, eternal emptiness. But perhaps if you listen closely, there is beauty even there. Because silence too is a kind of peace. The universe has never been cruel. It has only been vast, patient, and endlessly creative. Everything that begins must end, but endings are not failures. They are simply the places where energy changes shape. When the last black hole evaporates, its final radiation sighing softly into the dark, there will be no sound, no witness, no time. Yet in that silence lies the sum of all existence. Every thought, every star, every dream that ever flickered for even a second. The universe will not mourn its stillness. It will rest in it, and maybe, just maybe, rest is what eternity truly means. Imagine standing at the edge of everything, not in space as we know it, but at the edge of time itself. There is no up, no down, no movement, only a gentle absence, like a deep exhale after an endless journey. This is not destruction. It's the return to quiet. The same quiet that existed before the first atom took form. The same quiet that exists between every heartbeat, every breath, every thought. In that sense, the universe will not die. It will simply sleep. For all we know, this great silence could be the beginning of something else, a new vibration waiting to be born. The laws of physics, even in their elegance, leave space for mystery. Some cosmologists believe that after the universe grows dark, it might eventually collapse and ignite again. A rebirth. A new cosmos rising from the ashes of the old. If that's true, then the final silence isn't the end. It's the pause before another song begins. And if cycles are the rhythm of existence, then perhaps this has all happened before. Infinite universes, each breathing, dreaming, and fading in their own time. Each with their own galaxies, their own creatures, their own eyes turned toward their stars, wondering if they are alone. Even if we never see it, the thought carries comfort, that nothing truly vanishes, that even when the lights go out, the memory of light remains. The atoms that once danced in you will become something else, somewhere, somehow. The universe keeps no waste. It keeps promises written in starlight. In the meantime, we live in a precious chapter, one where the stars still burn and the night sky still whispers. We stand in the universe's luminous middle age between birth and silence, able to look both forward and back. And though the cosmos is unfathomably vast, we carry within us a small defiance. Against its darkness, the simple act of being aware, because awareness changes everything. To be conscious in a universe that will someday sleep forever is an act of rebellion and love. It means that for a brief cosmic moment, the universe gets to see itself in color. Through your eyes, it witnesses sunsets and oceans. Through your heartbeat, it feels warmth again. Through your questions, it continues to evolve. You are part of its unfinished dream, a single verse in its endless song. So when the final silence does come, when galaxies fade and atoms grow still, the universe will not be empty. It will be full of memories, of laughter, sorrow, creation and discovery, of civilizations that rose and fell, of beings who dared to look into the dark and whisper, "What are we?" And perhaps when the universe finally rests, it will dream again, and in that dream there will be a spark, a flicker, a beginning. Maybe that's the secret. The universe is infinite, not because it never ends, but because it never stops dreaming. We too are part of that dream. Every breath, every heartbeat, every moment of wonder, it all echoes through time. You are not separate from the stars that will one day fade. You are their story, told in human form. You are the starlight that learned to feel. When you close your eyes tonight and drift into sleep, imagine that you're floating at the edge of everything, beyond galaxies, beyond space, beyond time. There, in the quiet, you'll find it. The soft hum of existence still resonating beneath the silence. The same hum that began everything. The same hum that perhaps will begin it again. The infinite scientist, the universe itself, continues to experiment, to transform, to imagine. And through you, through your curiosity and awe, it still creates. Because as long as there is one spark of wonder left, one mind still dreaming, the story never truly ends. So rest now, traveler of the stars. The cosmos is still unfolding, even in its quietest hour, and though we may never see the final silence, we are part of its song, the last light before the dawn of everything new. And perhaps, somewhere in that silence, another voice will rise, gentle, patient, eternal, whispering once more, "Let there be light."